Good evening. Tonight it's February 5th, 2026, and first up is Service Committee.
Service Committee come to order at 6 p.m. Members present: Chris Moritz, Chair; Cody Scott, Terry Spiegel, Robert Taylor. First up is minutes for January 22nd, 2026. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
First by Mr. Scott, second by Mr. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up, we have Arcadis come up to speak. Arcadis, excuse me. I put an extra Y in there.
We'll see how that goes. All right, thank you. Hi, my name's Laura McGinnis. I'm with Arcadis, and I'm here to talk about the long-term control plan for CSO compliance. So, a lot of acronyms and a lot to discuss tonight. So, let me see if this is going to work. There we go. So, what we're going to touch on is what is a CSO, what is required with complying with EPA, a little bit on Bucyrus's history with CSOs, and what's next in achieving compliance. And we'll touch back to talk about schedule.
Sure. Okay. We don't care.
Thank you.
I tried to send you.
Yep. Get this back up. There we go, there we go. As soon as she came out. Okay, sorry, let's keep going. So what is a CSO? Are we working? Too many. I have to look it up. So this is all related to your sewer system. And what happens when you're flushing your toilet, doing laundry, doing dishes, ideally it exits your house into a sewer underground. And under dry weather conditions, it finds its way through the pipes to the wastewater treatment plant. What happens in wet weather, the CSO, combined sewer system, are designed to also carry that rainfall. So when you see water running down the street into the catch basins, it's going into the same sewers. And the problem becomes when those sewers are under capacity, it spills into the river. And this was designed this way. This is not unheard of. A lot of communities in the Midwest have been doing this for 100 years. But US EPA is looking at, we have to limit the amount of pollutants that are getting into the river. There also, and I will preface this, I don't have a graphic, there are separate sanitary sewers where the sewage from your house stays in its pipe. It does not mix with the rainfall. Those should not overflow, but the city's overflows are all considered combined sewer overflows. And I brought a map, there's a lot going on here. The colored lines, the red lines are where the sanitary sewers are located in the city. The orange lines are where the combined sewers are located within the city. And then we have green triangles. Those represent the 19 combined sewer overflows that still exist within the city. There had been more previously. The city has done a nice job closing some of them in the last few years. 3 were closed very recently. So this is just an understanding of what's going on underground in terms of the sewers. And it's those 19 overflows that US EPA was focusing on. So why, what is the compliance, what is the law? And we're going back to 1972, and this is the Clean Water Act, which includes enforceable laws that regulate pollutant discharges to protect water quality. So this is a law that is being asked of the city to follow. The Clean Water Act has a policy from 1994 in it, specifically for combined sewer overflows. And that defines the process, and like I said, a lot of acronyms, for developing a long-term control plan, known as LTCP. And that framework is set up to reduce the amount of overflow that goes into the river. The idea with CSOs is they don't need to be completely eliminated, but the volume needs to be reduced, the number of times per year needs to be reduced. And that's all compared to what is considered an average year, and EPA refers to that as a typical year. So we're looking at what happens on average in the city. But right now, those 19 CSOs, at least 17 of them are violating the legal limits. And that's what the city is working towards. So I want to step back and talk about the city's history with this whole process. Sorry. So like I said, the CSO policy started in 1994, and a lot of the larger utilities stepped up first and were working on it, like City of Cleveland, City of Columbus. Bucyrus's journey started sometime in the early 2000s with Ohio EPA, but it really picked up in 2008 when US EPA got involved. So in 2008, when they stepped in, Bucyrus began the process of evaluating what's going on in the system, where are the problems, what needs to be done to improve and start working towards that compliance goal. So Bucyrus developed a plan, submitted it to US EPA, and over several years that plan was negotiated. And at that point, US EPA was working towards phased approaches. So phase one was outlined, and it defined the projects that would happen over the next 8 years. The goal in that was to reevaluate for phase two and see what was needed, to then reevaluate for phase three. The number of phases was to be determined, and that comes back into play in a couple slides. But this phase one was signed in September of 2015, and work began immediately. So all the CSOs that didn't have signs, there's signage notifying the public that this is a CSO location. Sewers were inspected. There were detention projects out on the Upper Buffalo stormwater detention. There's stormwater separation projects, improvement projects that were all required as part of phase one. The city did additional projects. Sometimes it correlated with road work and paving, and it made sense to start looking at sewer separation at the same time. So the city did a lot of additional work. I don't want to say extra because it needs to happen, and it was very smart planning. So a lot of work happened, as you guys know, from 2015 through 2023. And some of the benefits that were observed, one example is the inspections found a large root ball in one of the main sewers that was holding back flow and probably causing additional overflow. That was removed. The flow could get to the plant more efficiently. The plant also noticed that with when some of the projects were taking that wet weather rainfall out, the plant returned to its normal or average capacity quicker, which saved the chemicals that needed to be applied. It saved wear and tear on some of the equipment. So there are noticeable benefits at the plant. And within the collection system, there is a decrease in water and basement complaints, a better understanding of where those hot spots were, where the triggers are, where the bottlenecks were. And then 3 CSOs were able to be closed. So that improved the water quality in the Sandusky River. So when phase one was wrapping up, phase two was evaluated. And I've been here in the past to talk about what phase two was, and it was a big improvement at the wastewater treatment plant. And the goal there was to manage increased flow at the plant, to help take care of the wet weather that's getting into the system and be able to treat it sufficiently at the plant to meet, at that point, US EPA's requirements. The plan also is going to involve additional collection system improvements, some stormwater redirection, and then ultimately look again at what would be needed down the road in 2030 or later. That was 2024. In 2025, about 10 months ago, Ohio EPA re-entered the discussions. They want to step back in and work with the city to manage, to take it back from US EPA. So the city would ultimately be under Ohio again on some kind of order. And their idea is because for the discharge at the treatment plant, the treated flow from the plant, Ohio already manages that. So they have a lot of synergies between the work they're already overseeing, or not the work, the compliance they're already overseeing at the treatment plant and what needs to happen in the system to manage the CSO. So there's a lot of benefits in working back with Ohio EPA. They also work with communities just like you throughout the state of Ohio. So I think they have a better feel for what Bucyrus is facing when it comes to funding these projects. So they also want to step back though, and this is why I'm here. They want to do a full understanding and map out all the projects that are going to be necessary. Not a phased approach to look at what would happen in the next 8 years and then the next 8 and another 8 years or so. They want to map out and have a road map for the entire process. So that's what we're here talking about, is what does that mean? So to develop that roadmap and start working towards achieving compliance, again, this is guidance from US EPA on how to develop a long-term control plan. This is what all utilities use. It's a series of steps, and there's a lot in here, so I will keep it simple, but I'm open to questions too. It starts with flow metering, and ideally we're gonna get flow meters into the ground, which means into the sewers we'll have sensors that record the flow, the level, the velocity, and help us understand how the system is operating. That takes, several months. We'll be doing that March through July-ish. From that, we will update the city's existing, have a digital model of the system. We update that, we make sure with that flow metering data, it still represents how the system performs in wet weather. That becomes the tool that we use to look at improvements. We use that tool first. We'll see how the system is really operating. Where are the constraints? Where are the bottlenecks? How often are these CSOs overflowing? And get a feel for the improvements that have already happened, how well they're benefiting the system. Part of the long-term control plan process is also to identify future growth. And I like this, and I know the city may not think there's a lot of growth coming, but there are opportunities to plan for it now, so that if you have a commercial development come in and want to tie in, you're going to have a better understanding of, do we have capacity? What improvements might be needed now to plan for future development or growth in areas that are potential pockets for commercial growth or residential growth. So that gets factored into this plan also. And that's when the goal, using the model as a tool, is to look at solutions. Where do we need bigger pipes? Where maybe is a storage basin? Or do we want to do more separation and remove the stormwater from the collection system? Do we want to funnel all the flow to the plant and treat it there? We look at a range of solutions. What are the best options? From there, we have to develop cost, though, because everything has a dollar value attached to it, and we want to make sure we're understanding the cost benefit for any of these options. So we'll look at what is the benefit of increasing sewer pipes or running additional sewers? Does that cost justify the benefit? And that's a big part of this process, is we want to make sure we're making smart decisions financially. Part of that is a financial capability assessment, and this is another process that EPA has developed that is used by all communities going through a long-term control plan, is to do a financial capability assessment to see what the city can afford. And that's critical for a community like Bucyrus, because we want to get a favorable schedule that allows that cost to be spread out, because it may not be feasible if Ohio EPA asked for it to be done in 5 years. Maybe financially it can't. Maybe you need 15 years. And that is where the financial capability assessment will really help the city negotiate a better schedule. Part of the plan also includes, beyond what the financial capability says in terms of schedule, we develop an implementation schedule. Which projects go first and why? You can't some have to come before others. So we look at a reasonable schedule, how long is it going to take? We bring back the financial capability assessment and develop a plan. And that's the draft long-term control plan that goes to Ohio EPA. So that'll include, here are the projects, when they're going to happen, how much they're going to cost, and why the city is committing to certain improvements. And that's where the negotiation begins. And again, that could take 3 months, that could take years. We don't know, but that is definitely part of the process. So why does the city have to do this? First, it's the law. It's in the Clean Water Act. Don't want to invoke stringent legal action for non-compliance. That could be very costly, and still at the end of the day, you're still going to have to do the improvements. Some of the benefits is understanding the current sewer system performance will help make smart decisions so that the improvements aren't undersized or oversized. We want to make sure that we're using the model as a tool, plus the city's understanding how the system performs to right-size all the projects. Another benefit, the city's going to continue to be proactive in maintaining the sewers and the treatment plant, and that saves money. One of the nice things about mapping out a schedule is to look at road work or water, work in the water distribution system or other buried utilities and kind of sync those together. We don't want to recommend a sewer improvement project on a road that was paved a year ago. So that's where it's full circle. We bring all these pieces together to develop that plan. This plan will include much needed improvements at the wastewater treatment plant. That was part of the original plan that still needs to be in here so that they can manage additional flows. An additional benefit, and this is where EPA is thinking, is to be a good neighbor to the downstream communities. Being at the upper end of the Sandusky River, what is entering from your CSOs is traveling all the way to Lake Erie. So the idea is to continue to be a good neighbor, and because you do have the park and recreation in the river too, that's important to make sure that we're not making the system worse and taking into account of public health. Like I mentioned earlier, this plan also allows for economic development options. Having this plan and understanding where you have capacity and how much flow can be treated shows readiness to accommodate more growth, and that is going to be a good selling point for economic development. Having an idea of what projects are slated in the schedule, it makes them more not quite shovel ready until they're in design, but you can position for more funding, loans, support, and be prepared to jump on opportunities like low interest loans. So this gives the city kind of a roadmap for also applying for funding. And then last part is having a negotiated LTCP allows the city to plan for funding and rate increases over time. So the last thing I want to just touch on is just schedule. The study itself is a 2-year process, ideally starting very soon with flow metering. Like I said, that'll go through the summer. We'll be working on updating the model and getting it recalibrated through the rest of the year. We'll start looking at how the system currently operates, where the hotspots are, where the bottlenecks are, in early 2027. And then the real meat of the project is looking at alternatives, figuring out what works together, what the costs are, what the non-economic benefits are. There might be some other considerations beyond financial we need to consider. That will happen in 2027. The rate study, I know the city was interested in looking at the rate study now. It'll need to be reevaluated when we have more dollars we can apply to what the plan will cost in mid-2027. The financial capability assessment occurs on the back end of this project. Once we have the potential projects identified, that's when it gets plugged into the financial capability assessment. Like I said, the plan gets developed, it gets sent to Ohio EPA, and then right now we're showing regulatory support from when that's submitted in very early 2028 for at least 3 months. And I wanted to note that this is just the planning. The design and construction could take 10 to 25 years, and that will be negotiated. So that is where the city is at with Ohio EPA and redeveloping a long-term control plan. And that's all I have. Are there It's a lot. It's a lot of work. But any,
Does anybody got any questions for him? Has it been settled yet with the US EPA and Ohio EPA, who is actually going to be in charge of this?
it's leaning towards Ohio EPA. They're in the process, and I know there are attorneys involved. But right now, that hasn't happened to my knowledge.
So Laura, how can you do the testing if you don't know who you're testing it for? Like the modeling, the modeling like you're gonna do this year, how do you know if you're doing it for the US EPA or you're doing it for the Ohio EPA?
We don't know. Either one is, Ohio wants it done.
Okay.
And I know the city has been leaning towards wanting to make that shift to Ohio for many reasons.
Oh, yeah, sure.
If the tricky part about flow metering is it needs to happen in the spring.
Yeah.
So if we miss the window of doing it this spring, this gets set back another year.
Yeah.
And we've got a flow metering subcontractor, as soon as the snow melts, he's ready to come out and look. So we're ready, he's ready to go.
Are the expectations different between the two agencies? Like if we put flow meters on and we're expecting it to be operated by the Ohio EPA, and then it turns out the US EPA is in charge, does that set us back to where we have to wait till next spring to do it again?
No.
Okay.
I think US EPA would be happy to see this happening, to reevaluate and have more confidence in the decisions that are being made moving forward. You know, have more information to make those decisions on how big a tank should be or how big a new sewer should be. So they're not going to complain about you doing additional work.
Well, I understand that, but it costs additional money.
Right.
That's
right.
our problem.
Well, and I think the city very much wants to have this peace of mind too. The last time the model was updated in 2020 with very few meters, that was just to check the box on the first phase to say, yep, that, you know, we're seeing an improvement. This is going to be a more comprehensive look at the system to understand some of the specific areas where the problems still exist.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We want to do this once.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why it's good to map out this roadmap now, to really look ahead at what it's going to take over the next, you know, if this schedule's 10 years or 25 years, this is giving you a good idea of where you're starting and what needs to be done. There may be times that maybe additional metering needs to be done in 15 years to justify, you know, a major capital improvement. But yeah, no, this
Okay.
is a big push to do right now to get a lot of answers to questions.
Thank you.
Anybody got anything else? Questions?
Sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to open it up to open projects. Bruce, you have one potential one you might want to bring up?
I believe your committee was passed information tonight.
Right.
Okay. I just spoke to Dylan Wyatt, and Dylan Wyatt is going to speak to the paperwork that was just passed out. He's going to come and talk to you all on March 1st.
March 1st, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. I don't think anybody else has any projects right now.
I don't think so.
We get an updated list here pretty soon, so we're really going to be able to buzz through them. Citizens' participation at this time. Mr. White.
Greg White, I got a couple questions here. What is this going to cost us, the taxpayers? How much more revenue is this going to cost us? I mean, I know this is almost $1 million contract for this 2 years, but how much is this going to cost the taxpayers in more sewer rates or other rates that are going to affect everybody down the road? I mean, I understand, don't get me wrong, I understand that this needs to be done, but how much is this going to affect the taxpayer citizens of this community, you know, as a whole?
I guess from what I just heard, my understanding would be that's what we're waiting to do all these, a lot of the testing for, right? Is that,
So who's paying this $1 million bill?
well, I would assume that it's coming out of the water department entity, right? That fund?
Okay, it's not coming out of the fund for the new plant, right?
No, that's different.
Okay, I want to make sure of that. Thank you, appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Any more public participation?
Sorry, I'm doing this as the auditor. So it would come out of the sewage disposal fund. So it's a contract that comes out of the sewage disposal fund. The fund that will create the new plant, the loan fund that we would take out to construct that would be paid out of the 417 fund, and then when that is completed, that loan will be paid off with the sewer fund. So just so everyone's clear, it would be the same fund that we were paying that contract out that would inevitably pay for the payment for the loan to build the new sewage disposal building.
So to Greg's question then, are we spending money that we are setting aside for a new plant? Are we spending money on this project? I think, if I'm not wrong, I think that might be his question.
So right now, we're setting money back to make that payment.
For the plant?
For the payment for the loan. So,
The loan for what?
so Arcadis, they did a financial plan for us, and it spread out 30 years. And it showed the increases that we would need to do for 30 years. Because that has been shoved back, they're going to do another, I believe that's part of the contract, they're going to do another financial statement after all this is said and done to see how things increase, decrease, what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done. So, but all this would be occurring in the sewage disposal fund, inevitably.
I guess now I'm confused, and I'm sure you're not answering I don't think you're answering the question that Greg's asking. Have we been setting money aside?
We have been setting
For
money aside.
Where is that money? Is
It's-
it being spent? I think that's the question
It
he's
is
asking.
not being spent yet.
But it's going to be. For what?
For this
For
contract.
this project. Is that legal?
Yes, because when you increase the sewage rates, it goes into the sewage fund, if that makes sense. So it's in that money.
Okay.
So we increased the rates for that fund.
And it was not necessarily legally earmarked, just specifically for a new
Yes, it was in
plant.
preparation for when this payment would inevitably happen, when
Okay.
this new plant is constructed. So, but that was based on projections that are going to totally change.
Yeah, we can see how the economy's changing, and
Right.
that's understandable.
Yeah, but I just wanted to let everybody know that it would be coming from, I didn't want misinformation to get out now. It will be the sewage
Well, I
fund.
thank you for clarifying, because that question has come up, and I obviously, I don't know enough about it to answer it with any sense of anything. I have no clue, but I appreciate you clarifying that. I don't know what how the public's gonna react to that. I mean, we've been putting money back for a plant, a new sewer plant, and now we're spending what little bit we have just to get this thing up and running.
I understand.
No,
Okay.
yes, ma'am, thank you.
You're welcome.
And my part of that, understanding of that is, I think this is a smarter way of going about this, because originally we were just doing a sewer plant, and if we were done that, then we'd be doing this later on down the
Gotcha.
road,
That makes sense.
and we'd be working backwards.
I have one more question, because if I'm not mistaken, I'll go back to the videos. But when that ordinance was passed to establish that fund,
At what point, what time frame are you talking?
3 years ago.
Okay.
We're into the 3 years of that rate
Okay.
increase, okay? It was sold, and don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna find it. It was sold to the public that all this money was going to go and pay for the bond, okay? The bond money that we were gonna have to make our first couple bond payments with, that money was supposed to be 100% earmarked for that purpose only. Okay, and just to clarify, not making any accusations or anything, I want to go back and to that meeting where that was all brought out to see if the ordinance is correct or was the verbiage incorrect? Because I think people were sold certain things because we've been paying, this is the last year on that agreement, that 3-year agreement for the sewer rate increase, okay? So I want to go back to that ordinance and then go back to the videos and see what was actually said and what was actually the language of the ordinance, because I think that it's two different stories. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any more public participation?
Kurt Fankhauser. A little bit of additional clarification. Last council term, very early on in the beginning, 2024, legislation was passed for sewer rates with a scale of them going up over a 3-year period. Tim Wood was in here extensively when that was all being discussed and going on. My understanding at the time was that money was exclusively for the sole purpose to build up a fund so that when the new plant got built, we had money to make the first couple payments on it. Now, if this money's going to go out of this account, whether it legally can be used for something else, I do not know. But the significance of that is we now are going to have less money for the sewer plant initial payments. So it sounds like the sewer rates themselves, if you do this, if you start spending that money, you might have to tweak them, maybe raise them, because you dipped into that fund and used it for something else, possibly.
Well, I don't think, it's probably past speculation at this point that we're gonna have to raise the sewer rates. If you listen to what this lady just said, look at you saw the map of the sewer systems that need upgraded. I don't think we can even speculate on it. We know that's gonna have to happen. Where else is the money gonna come from?
And early on, 2024, right after that, I internally was discussing with some of the council members, the city is collecting, like I believe, $4 a month on the bills for
The
stormwater
sewer system.
exclusively.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There's also the $7.20, I believe, Buffalo exclusively. And I said at that time, I didn't say this in an open meeting,
Right.
but I said because of the COVID inflation and construction costs significantly going up, I said those dollars aren't getting as much lateral lines built each year because we're having to spend more
Yeah.
every year on construction costs. So it's getting less and less and less footage whenever we do have to do these upgrades. And I kind of was telling
Yeah, you're exactly
the
right.
administration at the time, I said, you might have to be looking at this because I can kind of see the train going down the tracks here, that you're not going to have enough money to keep spending on stormwater line upgrades.
Mr. Fankhauser, you are right. Since '03, we should have been raising rates at 3% this whole time to
Yeah.
help cover ongoing costs and the explanation of how much things do cost. And that's one of the things Tommy's going to come talk to us about in March. What date was that? March 4th?
You mean Dylan?
Yeah.
Oh, Dylan. Yeah, excuse me, Dylan.
Dylan.
And Tommy too, probably.
I just wanted to add a little context since I was involved in the last council term and it was discussed, so
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Chris, I got something.
March 3rd. Yeah.
So the presentation you gave was very informative, it was great. Is it good for infrastructure we do this? Yes, but from the public's point of view, this proposal right here, what the public's gonna say is you're raising my water rates again.
Yeah.
And the public's not gonna like that. That's just my.
Yeah, agreed, but
'Cause
the
people are-
public also keeps demanding we bring jobs into this town. And if we don't upgrade our storm sewer system and our treatment plant, we don't have a chance.
And there's also the point that the state's going to make us do.
And then the EPA,
Right,
they're gonna make you do it regardless, and Chris brought up a good point, and this is the field he actually works in. If, you know, the people that do this seem to think that changing the order of operations is the way to go about it, and I mean, okay. I mean,
Any more public participation? Seeing none, we'll adjourn at 6:35.
Economic Development,
I'm calling Economic Development to order at 6:37 PM. Members present, myself Chair, Terry Spiegel, James Me, and Ray Thidoff. First thing will be approval of the January 22nd, 2026 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Second.
I've got a motion from Jim and a second from Terry. All right, next we have, oh, sorry, gotta have a vote on that. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it looks like we have Becky Lutz from the tourism.
I have a couple just to share.
Sure.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Open for questions?
Can we, if there's stuff you can't answer, just be honest and say you can't answer it, okay? This I haven't had a chance to look at. Can you comment on the Community Heart Council?
The what?
The Community Heart Council, LLC?
That was Elaine Naples.
Okay.
Her
Can you
LLC.
comment on that at all?
What would you like to know?
Pardon me?
What would you like to
Oh,
know?
I thought you said no. The Tourism Bureau, not you and not Casey Grau, contracted Elaine Naples through the LLC. She completed her contract. You paid her for that contract. And can you explain what a nice person she was?
To my knowledge, I have no confirmation, I haven't seen any paperwork, but to my knowledge, she donated her earnings from her time at the Tourism Bureau to Norton Park.
Norton Park. So there was a contract with Elaine Naples,
Correct.
and that was fulfilled. She done everything. She brought back the Tourism Bureau.
Correct.
Okay. So how long did the Tourism Bureau was not active? It was dormant.
That was June of 2024. It was inactive until council renewed the agreement with BTAB. June of 2024.
Okay.
I can find you that. You probably have it in your files.
We have so many.
And the answer
files.
to clarify, the contract was with Community Heart Consulting, not Elaine Naples, Community Heart Consulting.
That's what I mentioned first.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify it. It's who Community Heart Consulting is owned by is
Irrelevant.
not really our concern.
So it was Community Heart Consultant that donated the money back to Norton Park.
I can't answer that.
Are you under audit?
We have been asked to provide paperwork for an audit. This,
Do you know when that's going to take place?
It's taking place.
currently.
Do you know who has to pay for that audit?
Do you want to?
Yeah, can you come up here?
Yeah, he doesn't think he can, yeah.
Matt Horn, Brothers Body and Equipment. I'm a resident of Gallion, and I'm also the chair of the Crawford County Chamber of Commerce. Repeat your question?
What was it?
We are under audit, yes, currently.
Is this just the tourism bureau or the?
Tourism Bureau.
chamber?
Tourism Bureau.
How far are they going back?
24, the beginning of the last agreement with the city. 24, January 1st, 24 to
Okay.
December 31st of 25. Do you know who pays for that audit?
Probably us.
The organization that is getting the audit. So BTAVB has to pay for that audit. So whoever contacted the Ohio auditor, it's fine. The organization that is receiving the audit has to pay for that audit. Just like when the Ohio auditor audits the city of Bucyrus, the city of Bucyrus pays for that audit by the Ohio auditor. So therefore, and we don't know what the costs are gonna be yet. They haven't told us. It's supposed to be a minimal audit. It's over a span of 2 years. The last audit we did with the Gallion Crestline Chamber of Commerce ran from 2018 up until September 11th of 2023. You have all that information too. It's in the news.
Yeah. Anybody else got any questions?
I don't have any questions.
I have worked extensively with the Ohio State Auditor over the last many years, so, many.
Okay.
Anything else? The other thing I would like to add, just one more thing. I am struggling to understand why a private entity's business matters to council. You know, like Community Heart Consulting. Hypothetically, it might be owned by Elaine Naples, I'm not really sure. You know, my company is registered in the state of Nevada. There's a reason why we register in the state of Nevada. Well, we are also registered in the state of Ohio, but our LLC filing is in the state of Nevada. I'm not really sure why the LLC filing in Texas really matters in the conversation. So, I do business in Ohio, Crawford County, and all over the world.
So I've been contacted by a lot of people that say, well, we're giving the tourism money and it's going to Texas and now it's coming back to Bucyrus and we don't understand what's going on. So what am I supposed to do?
No, I understand.
I come up
but-
here, I bring you guys up here, I said, look, what's going on?
No, I completely understand that, but I'm just not, I don't know why it's any of council's business what a private entity does with their own revenue.
The private entity being the Tourism Bureau?
No,
Oh, Elaine,
yep,
okay. And I understand that I didn't know till recently that she was you guys
that was
the
done prior.
tourism,
That was actually the Bucyrus Chamber of Commerce was overseeing the BTAVB at that time.
okay.
And that, I believe that it's been a while since I looked at that one. But I know the agreement with BTAVB was signed sometime in June of 2024, retroactive back to January 1st of 2024.
Okay.
So we have all of our bank statements. We're going to send them down to the auditor. It's going to be
Yeah.
a piece of cake. They may not even come to physically visit us because all of our files are digital. We'll just pop them right down to them. That's how
Yeah.
I've done all of them in the past too.
So we're looking at a trail, we're looking at, we collect the bed tax goes to tourism. Now we see the money going down to taxes, now it's coming back to the park. I've got questions about that. you know.
That's fine. No, and I
that's-
understand that. I mean, in my business, I try and work as locally as possible. I don't know if we have a organization that is capable, locally, that is capable of creating that information that Community Heart Consulting was able to do. I know I've
Could you give me a
contracted.
brief summary of what they did?
Man, I have not looked at that contract in quite some time. It has been over 2 years, so I do not have an answer for you right now.
I just found out about it this week. so-
Yeah, I do not have an answer for you right now. But I have looked at that contract back in 2024, probably a couple months ago as well, too, when this all got brought up, so.
Anybody else have any questions? Do you know when the audit's going to be over?
No, like we said, they haven't even scheduled a time to physically come up and perform the audit.
And
The
you said
auditor's
they may
very busy.
not.
What's that?
You said they may not, you'll just
They
send
may
me
not,
them?
yeah, we'll provide all the documentation to them via email or a FTP space or something like that. I mean, Mike's insurance company audits us every single year. Auditing is nothing new there's nothing to be alarmed about at all. So the only thing that I wanted to make clear is that BTAVB will have to pay the Ohio auditor for the Ohio auditor to audit BTAVB. It's ludicrous to me, but apparently that's how it works. So, and the city pays the Ohio auditor just the same way.
Right.
So, now if I requested the audit, I would expect to pay for that audit I requested. But if somebody else requested and we get forced per se to do an audit, I struggle to understand why that organization should have to pay for that audit, but apparently we do.
Yeah, we don't have nothing to do with that.
I understand that, but I'm just making that point known. So, and whoever requested the audit is costing BTAVB money now, so.
Anybody else got any questions?
Has anybody had a chance to look at the website that Community Heart Consulting created? And
No, I haven't.
you have?
I haven't. You did.
So, and another thing I'd like to give you for just clarification, so, and I'll use it, I understand the dollar amount might have given some folks some sticker shock. I got it as well. So back in 2016, we did 2 Iveco military dump trucks for the United States Army foreign military sales, okay? The United States Army foreign military sales and turned around, sold those dump trucks to Serbia. We had to create a 45-minute training video for the operation and maintenance of those 2 trucks. That training video was $38,000. The Serbian translation from English for the written manuals and the training video was $62,000. So, you know, keeping industry costs into perspective for marketing, video creation, website creation, just keep that in mind, those costs. It sounds like a lot of money, but unfortunately, that's the life we're in. And in 2015, we did 300 trailers for the United States Army, concrete mixer trailers. The written manuals and explosion diagrams cost $3.4 million, just for a stack of manuals about this big, $3.4 million. So, you know, just for perspective on what that kind of stuff costs, $46,000 is well within the industry range, so.
No. So you do understand why I have the questions because this is tax dollars coming out of Bucyrus that's supporting
Where
the
else is it gonna go?
Tourism
I-
Bureau.
I understand that, but where else would you consider it going? If you weren't gonna be biased to a singular organization or
I-
a singular event.
Yeah, I wouldn't make that decision pretty much. It would be a group decision, but.
I mean, when I first moved here, that was one of the arguments that I always had is that, there was no centralized information hub for any tourism in our area, and all of the historical societies were all separate at that time, and now we have historical alliances, which is great. And we're getting, with the tourism and that website, and I don't know if Becky has shared the clicks on that website, but 20,000 people clicked on that website. New clicks, 20,000, which is outrageous to me, but that's a lot of clicks. Keep in mind, Galleon does not have that, Crestline does not have that, Upper Sandusky does not have that, none of those other towns around us have that website, or those videos that are out there for tourism-related items.
Okay. I'm good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Anything else?
Do you have any questions about the information I gave you?
No, I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
I did attach some statements from the local tourist attractions that I work with. So please take that into consideration too.
Yeah, is there anything you want to explain on here that I should be actually focused on? Or?
Well, you had some questions for me the last time we spoke. You wanted a couple things broke down, and I've supplied that for you this evening.
Yeah, I had it in my filing cabinet down here somewhere. Yeah, you paid the $2,975 bed tax. So you were late on one of your monthly payments to the chamber for?
We were
was-
busy, yep,
Yeah, it was huge. So you just didn't get the payment. You had the money, it looks like?
correct.
Okay.
We were just late on billing for that
Okay, I
month.
just wondered why that month was so big,
Yep.
and I seen it was
Yep.
for another month too, so.
Yep. And you'll see the staffing hours are a little higher for November and December,
And,
some in October. Those are for event planning,
Event
and,
planning?
yeah, downtown candlelight Christmas, working on the website. Those are the hours that I put in at the office for tourism.
so I want you to understand, we are a team, we work together. You are part of our team. Council, administration, police department, fire department, we're all a team.
Mm-hmm.
And when these questions come up, we have to ask them.
And yes, I agree. I
Okay,
like
it's-
that collaboration, but I also want to add that we have open doors up at the Tourism Bureau as well. So yourselves, I know that we have to do things, a certain way for council and committee, but anybody in the community is welcome to come up and ask, stop in, see what we have. Check out our website, our Facebook page. You'll see where the some of that bed tax money is going and how it is helping bring people here.
Okay, I just want you to let you know that
Yep,
we're for you, so,
okay,
okay?
all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any public participation on the tourism?
Yes, Greg White, I'm not gonna, I'd like to know this question. Is the Visitors and Travel Bureau a 501c6 nonprofit? Okay, these are some of the questions I have. Does the Tourism Bureau have a checking and savings account, or they just have the checking account? I noticed too, by doing a review of the records, There's 3 different agencies in that building, yet we pay 50%. Isn't the chamber and the partnership paying equal amounts of the utilities, telephone, internet, whatever they need in that thing? Or is it just a 50-50 split between the chamber and the tourism bureau? Because I know they don't pay rent. Okay, I do know that for a fact. The other thing is too is how many employees is the tourism bureau paying for out of this money? And what are their job titles and what are they making? The other thing I noticed too in some of the documentation, it says miscellaneous income. And I was questioning that. Is that donations or what is that? It doesn't, nothing is spelled out. Also, it says here that in one of the statements in 2025, the outstanding bed tax owed to our organization. I kind of find that was kind of weird in their documentation. It was owed to them. I think it was owed to the city first, and then the city gives them that money. Yeah. I just kind of questioned it.
We collect it, then.
Yes, I know, but that was in their quarterly report. The other thing too is I question, who are the board members of the Tourism Bureau, the advisory board? Who's on that advisory board?
They were here, wasn't they?
No, that was the chamber board.
That was chamber?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So who is actually on the Visitors and Travel Bureau advisory board?
That should be on your website, right?
No.
There's not currently.
It's not.
No. Let's see, the other questions I have too is, yeah, I mean, the website looks great and all that other stuff, but I think in something that came out was pretty interesting that somebody posted, and this is post, I'm just saying, it's the decision to hire was done by the chamber board and the tourism advisory committee. So why didn't the chamber pay 50% of that contract with, I'm not going to use the lady's name, but Community Heart Consulting LLC out of Texas? Why didn't they pay 50% of that? If we're splitting the cost, did they benefit from this lady, or did it only the Tourism Bureau pay for benefit from that? Okay, and 2, going back to the 501c6 nonprofit, okay, there's different state regulations and federal regulations on these different 501(c)(3)s, or 3Cs, 4Cs, 6Cs.
Good.
Okay, so that was some of the questions, and one other thing too I have too is how many tours have come to Bucyrus since, the 2024? How many people, tour groups have actually come to Bucyrus? Well, I mean, we used to have them here all the time. I mean, we used to see tour buses all the time. I mean, it was gangbusters. Now we don't see hardly any tour buses in this town. Okay. Another thing I would like to know is there's events, like the Bucyrus Bratwurst Festival is an event. It's a yearly event. It's an annual event. The bike show's becoming an annual event. Okay, the car show's an annual event. So those are events, but they're not tours. Okay, so I'd like to know what the ratio of events versus tours is being done. And also the other thing is, what are we doing, I mean, in the past, and granted this was in the past, and no disrespect, but it seemed like in 2024 that only chamber members were being promoted, on the websites and stuff, but non-chamber members were not. And okay. I hope that...
Let's not...
But what I'm saying is, I'm moving to the future here. So are we going, is the Visitors and Travel Bureau going to basically make an example and show everybody of Bucyrus and not just certain people?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Ms. LeClaire, hold on a minute. Would you guys like to rebut any of that? Come up to the...
No.
Most of that was baseless.
You don't have to.
We only answer your questions. If you have questions for us, we'll answer them.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I don't want you guys to get all defensive.
Oh, no, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. We'll answer your questions.
Kurt Fankhauser. Thank you, Jim, for having the Tourism Bureau come in. And the questions you asked have answered more of my outstanding questions that I had. Because this issue with the tourism started at the last council term. And some context, I requested financial public documents from the tourism, which, since they receive more than 50% of their funds from taxpayer funds, from my understanding with state law, that opens up all their records to public inspection and public records requests. I was denied.
That's in between you and them.
Well, I didn't get the records, okay?
Okay.
I did not contact the state auditor. Now, somebody else might have.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so if it sounds like the tourism is upset that the state auditor came in, but I'm just giving some context.
They're upset because they have to pay for it.
Okay, now, I just learned tonight, I had suspicions, but I just learned tonight that this money was donated to the Norton Bicentennial Park. I had suspicions of it. It was confirmed. Now we know. So a website that was $46,000 per contract, a website that was $46,000. I don't know what a $46,000 website looks like because I've never seen a tourism website, but I'm going to log on to it tonight and see.
That's their business, so.
Okay, that's their business. But we have taxpayers' funds involved.
Correct.
So that's what makes this relevant. To me, what it looks like.
It doesn't matter what it looks like. It is what it is. They had a contract. They had a contract with the Community Heart Counseling.
Yeah, whatever it's
Community Heart
called, I don't know.
Counseling turned it back over to Norton Park. We have no say-so on those fees.
When I was on council in 2024 and Ms. Grau came up here and explained what this contract was for, I don't ever remember a website being said. Maybe it was.
It was development.
Tourism development. What I remember was they said it's this $40-some thousand is gonna get the Tourism Bureau back on track. I don't know what that meant at the time, but from what I've gathered here, I think the whole thing was to funnel money to the Norton Bicentennial from the beginning. I
Knock
do
it
not.
off. Hey,
It's
knock it
irrelevant
off.
at this point. The money's
No.
gone. It's their money to do what they want with
The
it.
significance of it
Okay, your time is
is
Yeah, we're done.
you use taxpayer funds and went across state lines with it, which might have opened it up to federal investigation.
You're done,
Might have
Jordan.
opened it up to federal investigation.
Can't put, trouble is, you put an organization down that promotes the town. Jeez.
Robert Taylor, 411 Plymouth Street. The gentleman made a very good point. Once the money from the bed tax was distributed to the Tourism Bureau, they signed a contract with a private business.
perfect.
That's their money at that point.
Correct.
They can do what they want with it. Doesn't matter what it looks like on the surface. That's that private entity, that's their money. I do have a question though, because it has not been answered yet. The bed tax. Can it be dispersed elsewhere? Like, because.
If I had a law director, I could probably
Yeah.
answer that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, if it can, I'm just gonna put my input as a taxpayer, not as a council person. I've looked at the website. It's a very broad view of what Bucyrus offers. And if we're gonna start talking about singular events, getting some of that money, as a taxpayer, I would be against it because it's a one-time thing. And for the Bratwurst Festival, just for an example, they don't need marketing or advertising. People all over the state, 3 states
Country.
away, right?
Country.
They know what that is. And for the other singular events that have been mentioned, I don't think those warrant the bed tax being used for. If you go look at the website, you'll see that they really have covered all the bases on what Bucyrus has to offer every day, not just one time in June or one weekend in July or whatever. And I think that's probably the intent of the Tourism Bureau. You know, it's a broad view of what the community offers, and they've done a really good job.
Thank you. I think that's it. We're cutting it off. Kaylee?
Just as someone who, our entity is audited every year, and I just wanted to make sure the public knows that there's nothing shameful for being audited. Auditing is a good thing. It makes sure that the money is being spent appropriately, and no one should assume in advance that money has been. That's why we wait for the audit to come back. So I just want to let everyone know there's nothing wrong with the Tourism Bureau being audited. That's a good thing.
I'm done.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is the civic public performance licensing. So I think you just need to do more research on what all is required for that. I think once we figure that out, then we can take the next step in the email and just kind of see costs, if there's like one that can cover everything.
So we have the BMI, the
Yeah.
ASCAP, the SCAP. We don't know their licensing bureaus, so people can go to the stage, our stage uptown, and play music that's not their original music.
Yeah. It must have to do with like copyrights, I'm guessing, some
What
sort
was
of
that, Terry?
copyright.
I said, why don't you have Mark come in and explain that a little bit more?
Yeah,
at
I
the
can
next
reach
meeting.
out to him and
Yeah.
see if he would
That
like
would
to
be
come in
great.
and
Have
talk
Mark
about
come
it.
up here.
Sure.
Okay.
Explain that.
Yeah, I'll send him an email and I can do that.
Then we can work out something.
Okay. And then there's the EV charging stations. I know Dan was looking into that, I think. He's looking into, yeah. Dan Wireball's looking into more information on that. But I do think, just based off of his email, you know, that wouldn't be a bad idea. There are a lot of electric vehicles out there. So it would be nice to have that. And then we're tabling the resolution due to the law director not being present to make corrections.
Yeah, the law director's sick.
Yeah, so we're gonna table that until next meeting. All right, so that leaves open projects. Yeah, I don't think we've really, there's nothing. Okay.
Now you have public participation.
All right, so any further public participation on anything else?
Nothing?
Greg, I'm giving you your chance. If you need to come up and ask your question, do it.
I want my one question answered, that's all.
Okay.
And it's not director. Greg White, it was told to you guys that any public can come in to the Visitors and Travel Bureau, but yet they don't want to answer the public's questions in this meeting. Thank you.
And again, Greg, that's between you and them.
Kurt Fankhauser again. I believe Miss Naples is on the board. If she would have received a tax credit for doing the donation, that would be improper and would be an ethics violation with the state of Ohio.
Any more public participation?
I'd just like to add, Matt Horn, I'd like to add one more thing. I think the reason why BTA VB might have ended in the past, and we also seen it in Galleon too, is that the tourism agencies never had a paid employee. So the chamber, now a county-wide chamber, we can only use Bucyrus bed tax money in Bucyrus only.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah, so we can
I
only
forgot.
use it in Bucyrus only. So we make sure that Becky only promotes tourism in Bucyrus. And why I say that is because we are actually paying, and then we are supplementing. I mean, Becky's paid by the Chamber of Commerce, and then we supplement some of her pay, only the hours, reasonable hours, to the bed tax dollars. So, you know, we only take her pay out of those bed tax dollars. But what the point I'm getting at is all those previous tourism organizations failed because they did not have a paid person there. Or, you know, you guys probably all volunteer your time and you're pulled thin in every different direction. And, you know, I know Experience Galleon, when that was an organization that they were all volunteers and they just didn't have enough time to focus, and there was no paid employees to be kind of pressured into doing things.
So they have no tourism in Galleon?
They got nothing. They got nothing in Galleon. They really don't have anything.
Do they pay the
Crestline.
chamber anything?
We have the Crawford County Chamber now.
All those funds are kept separate, correct?
Yes, yeah, yep.
Okay. And you just have a checking account or a savings account?
We have both.
Both?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and they're existing from, I don't know when they were created, to be honest. So there was such a lag in time. I tried to make sense of it all, but it fell, you know, and I definitely made sense of January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2025, because that's the period of time that is under my experience. So anything that happened prior to January 1st, 2024, I can't speak to.
Just to clarify, the checking and savings, is it the Bucyrus Tourism's, or are you talking about the chambers?
Bucyrus Tourism.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, it is correct. Yeah. Okay, what's it?
I don't know, I'm gonna call you later
That's okay.
and ask questions.
I can send you my contact information.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, I'll certainly do that.
My phone number, my email, it's all public.
Yeah, no, I
record.
have it on your website there. I'll send you all my contact information if you have questions. We are transparent. And like I said, I've been through, Navy audits us every year. Auditing is nothing new to me. It's
Okay,
a
cool.
walk in the park.
And
So-
I don't want you to feel like we're attacking you either.
No.
Okay.
I'm not concerned, you know,
We just
it's bad actors.
wanna
You know,
get
we have them in Galleon
questions
too.
answered.
You know, I get it. So,
Okay.
we're on your side. And like you said, we all want to work together. And, you know, I plan on living in Crawford County for the rest of my life. And I have a niece that is 7. She's going to live here as long as I can get her to, you know, and I want this community to expand, because when I moved here in 2009, we're in a lot better shape than we are now than we were then. So,
Okay,
thank you
thank you.
guys.
All right, thank you.
I do have one more thing to say. As a team member with council and the city of Bucyrus, the chamber attended professional development last week in Canton at the Football Hall of Fame. My first conference as an executive director of the chamber, and people know that I am also Bucyrus Tourism. Within the first 5 minutes of getting into the room full of people, chamber execs, staff, I was approached by a chamber person that knew who I was because of council and the
Sorry.
shenanigans that go on. So I just want to add that in. As a team member of this team, this is the things that, you know, are out there. So thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. If there is no other public participation, we will adjourn at 7:15 p.m.
February 5th, 2026, I'll be calling the Bucyrus City Council Health and Safety Committee to order. Members present, Cody Scott, Chris Moritz, Ray Thidoff, and myself, Robert Taylor, the chair. You have before you the minutes from, what is the date on those? January 22nd, 2026. I will entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Cody, second by Mr. Moritz. Roll call vote. Cody?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, the motion passes, minutes are approved. Can I backtrack, because I don't think I called this to order, I'm not gonna give a time, it was 7:17. Sorry. Thank you, Ray. All right, next on the agenda is the Bratwurst Festival road closure. I'm gonna read the letter as soon as I find it. If I find it. I just had it. There it is. All right, letters dated February 1st, 2026. It's addressed to Bucyrus City Council, Health and Safety Committee. It's from the Bratwurst Festival Incorporated. It says the 59th Annual Bratwurst Festival will return to the streets of beautiful downtown Bucyrus on August 13th through 15th, 2026. We respectfully request the following street closures effective 5 p.m. on Tuesday, August 11th, 2025 to allow crews to lay cable, assemble the water and electrical systems, and install safety barricades. Streets will remain closed until 8 a.m. on Sunday, August 16, 2026. Closure of Mansfield Street from Walnut Street to Poplar Street. East-west traffic through the square to allow the ride company to start setting up. Use of the City Hall lobby and north and east parking lots for the craft show and art show, as in previous years. Charles Street from East Alley South to the Wendy's parking lot west entrance. Warren Street from Walnut Street to Poplar Street. Rensselaer Street from South Walnut Street to Poplar Street. We also request the following street closures effective 9 p.m. on Tuesday, August 11, 2025, to allow crews to lay cable, assemble the water and electrical systems, and install safety barricades. Sandusky Avenue from Mary Street to City Hall. Parades are scheduled at 6 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, August 13th and 14th, as well as 4 p.m. on Saturday, August 15th, 2026. The parade route will be the same as in previous years from Perry Street to Oakwood Avenue. We request the following closures 2 hours prior to parade times. River Street from North Sandusky Avenue to Tiffin Street. 1 lane to be maintained for EMS access. Perry Street from North Walnut Street to Broadway Alley. North Sandusky Avenue from Mary Street to Irving Street. Mary Street from Poplar Street to North Walnut Street. Liberty Street from South Walnut Street to Poplar Street. Center Street from South Walnut Street to Poplar Street. Lucas Street from South Walnut Street to Poplar Street. South Sandusky Avenue from City Hall to Oakwood Avenue. We further request that the City of Bucyrus Administrative Assistant, in coordination with Bucyrus Police Department, contact ODOT to reroute wide load permit holders during the aforementioned closures. Your continued support and cooperation is very much appreciated. Without your support, the Bratwurst Festival would not be the success that it has been for the past 58 years. We look forward to seeing you all at the Boyd Long opening ceremony at 11 a.m. on Thursday, August 13th, and encourage you to participate in the various activities throughout the 3-day festival. Respectfully submitted, Doug Fote, Director, Bratwurst Festival Incorporated. I will entertain a motion to accept this letter and allow the Safety Service Director and the administration to enter into an agreement with the Bratwurst Festival Incorporated for this.
Question before.
Yes, sir.
Is this maybe the administration can answer? Is this prior to what they've done in the past? Okay, just wanted to clarify that. I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by Cody,
I'll second.
second by Ray. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I am a yes as well. Motion carries. All right, next is the BCO 111 and the citizen participation rule. First, I want to apologize to the citizens. This was an oversight on my part that this rule was omitted. Apologize to all the council and everyone who does partake regularly. That is an oversight on my part, that rule was not in there as it should have been. That being said, I'm going to entertain a motion to add name and address requirement for citizen participation in this chapter. I've got it right where it goes. Let's see here. That's not it. Sure, I know what, just so I can read what chapter it's going in. So I'm going to ask for a motion to request legislation to add in 11105, we're going to add citizen participation must give name and address. And that will be for public participation of a regular council meeting. And then we will add it, 11106, that you must do the same for committee meetings. So I need a motion to request legislation.
So moved.
Wait, hold on.
This would just be to amend it, wouldn't it, not to request legislation?
You don't have to just amend it? Okay, that's fine.
1106 is,
111.06, that's the committee rules. We have to add
no,
it there too.
1106 on here is voting and quorum.
That's not what I got.
1105 is public participation.
Oh, I'm sorry, I am looking at the wrong one.
That's why when you said 1106, I'm like, wait a minute, that's voting.
See, I thought that the committee rules were separate than the regular council rules. And what, do we have two, how many copies of this we got that are different? Question I have. Hold on just a second. I've got it. There it is. Let's put that right there. All right. All right. 111.04 on the copy I have, it's the order of business.
Right.
And that is where citizen participation is at. So in that section, we are going to amend that, number 8, citizen participation, in parentheses, must state name and address.
11104.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we're going to add it again in the same section under section B, number 6, public participation. We're going to put some parentheses there. Must state name and address, because that covers the committee, I do believe. Yes. So I need a motion to amend this document.
Excuse me a minute.
I'm sorry, Terry.
I think also you have to eliminate, Terry Spiegel, 305 West Southern Avenue.
Yes, sir.
You have to eliminate section D, which says that all other ordinances of the council of whatever, of rules of council is eliminated with this one.
Oh, and at the very end?
It says, and number D, and public participate. I don't know what section, I'm trying to look it up.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Oh, right here. No, next one. What do you got at, Chris? What do you got? Okay, you take yours.
I'll help you, Terry.
Okay.
Greg White, 1125 Hillcrest Drive. Okay, so what Terry's talking about is on page 13 of the new council rules, just to help you out.
I'm wondering if I got, what copy we all have, because I'm not seeing that either.
Okay,
These aren't numbered.
this is the ordinance that was on Documents on Demand, 1-2026. Is the latest and greatest. Okay?
Has the new one been put on document?
Well, the thing
I haven't
is,
seen it.
111.01, okay? You need to take out D. There's 27 mistakes in this, just to let you know, Mr. Taylor, that I've found already.
What kind of mistakes, Greg?
Not certain mistakes that one section is in violation of another section, okay?
Okay.
Just to let you know, they don't mash to each other. Someone forgot to take certain
Has the
things.
new one been put on documents on demand?
Yes, that's the one I have.
I think we were all passed out one.
Well, if it's-
So
if it's the one on
there's several
document,
mistakes
There's no numbers
that,
on the page.
that are in this
Yeah, I don't know why,
ordinance.
I don't know where you're getting page numbers. I don't even see page numbers.
Well, it's on Documents on Demand, it's under page numbers now.
Well, the ones we don't.
I
don't have
appreciate
page
that very much. Appreciate the page numbers now on documents.
I would love to take the credit for that.
Okay, but whoever did, I appreciate that because it makes it easier now.
The one I'm viewing online, they do have page numbers on them.
Yep.
They're on the bottom. They're on
But
the bottom
I'm just
left
letting you
corner.
know, Mr. Taylor, that
Okay.
there's quite a few little things that need to be corrected on this, just besides participation. But, and nothing big or anything, but just to let you know that even, and don't take this wrong, please,
No, go
because
right
it's
ahead.
written in the rules.
Yes, sir.
So if you go to section 111.09, and you go to page 6, under health and safety,
Yep.
okay? Council rules are not listed, so it states in there that any other topics related to Health and Safety Committee as approved by the law director and council president.
That's
So-
on every one of them.
Yes,
Like,
I know.
Every committee.
I'm letting you know that
Mhm.
that's on there, because there's a lot of stuff on here that just what you're wanting to put on needs to actually be looked at.
Well, I don't see an issue with that. I mean.
No, but there's other things on there too, in here too.
Well, okay, but I'm talking about the specific issue you just brought up. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, well, I'm just pointing that out to you,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
because it's on that stuff too.
But
And there's,
Here's the thing, Greg. I'm not here to go through the whole rules.
oh, I know.
You brought up last meeting that we admitted a rule.
Mhm.
I admitted a rule.
I didn't say you.
I mean, no, I did. It's on me. It's my mistake.
Okay,
We're here to fix that.
okay. So when do you want to fix the other rule?
We'll take a look at it. You can email me your
Okay.
concerns with it, and we'll go from there. But for tonight, I just want to fix this rule so people are giving their name and address
Okay.
as we always have. And that's how we're going to amend it now. If it needs amended, after I look at your concerns, we'll go with it from there, okay?
All right,
Thank you.
yep.
So I need a motion to amend the said sections for public participation, 111.04, order of business, and under the same section, paragraph B, public participation, I want to insert parentheses that you must state your name and address.
I will make that motion.
Ray made a motion,
I'll second it.
Chris seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well, motion carries. So I will need to amend that. Now, do I need paperwork from you for that? Or can I just go in and I need to amend that how? I'm not sure how this works. Okay. All righty. Next is overtime assessment for the safety forces. There is growing concern amongst the community about the overtime that we do pay, and more specifically, it's the fire department. And this is not to be negative towards the fire department or the fire chief, but we rarely get a detailed report. These month-end reports that are just full of the volume of the calls, and I would like to know as a taxpayer and as an elected official, how many, whether it's each pay period or each month, how many hours of overtime did we pay that pay period total? How many hours of vacation were paid out? How many hours of sick pay? And I know that the auditor has that info, but I want the chiefs to relay that information monthly or bi-weekly so the public can hear how much overtime we're paying, how much vacation we're paying. Because when that comes out at the end of the month or at the end of the year at a line item, that's just one big number. And then that tells us, as elected officials and the public, that we're actually looking at that as we're moving along through the year. We see how many people are on overtime. And another problem I have is the contract that was passed with the fire department. It was sold to the public, and the reason I know this, because it was told directly to me, because I was the member of the public complaining about it. You went to a 5-man minimum, and we had a gentleman's agreement that it wasn't going to be enforced until this year, and the last meeting I had, I was told that was no longer the case, that we're not going to run with 5 when people call off, and that's not what was agreed to, and it's not what's in the contract. And it's not being enforced by the administration, the service director, or the chief, and you guys owe the citizens an explanation on this. This whole thing was to save money in the general fund, to create room. We need a new fire truck. We're going to need ambulances. We need police cruisers. And we can't even get you guys to honor the 5-man minimum that you agreed to in your contract. It's absurd. And you guys do owe us some explanations, and we really got to start working on this.
So the contract states that it's the 5-man minimum. That is the union protection so that the administration and council cannot drop that lower than that. The administration and myself, and with previous council and the auditor, have deemed that it's a safety issue for us to drop any lower than that. Our funds are not that strapped. And for us to, where we're at is that when the survey was, or the analysis or whatever was done prior to us taking over EMS, we were supposed to have 8-man shifts. We agreed at that time that we would do it with 6-man shifts because it would cost us roughly at that time an additional $180,000 to have 8-man shifts. Because what it does is it eliminates most of the overtime, but there's an additional cost by having 6 more staff that was 6 more people.
Let me find your contract. I've got it here.
So in regards to the amount of overtime hours and stuff, that I would gladly make that part of my monthly report. I've never been requested to do that before, but if there's anything like that you want to see, either request it of me or the service director, and we'll do whatever we can to make sure that's in the report.
So let me ask you this, Chief, and I'm going to be very blunt. Are we denying that what was sold to me and the community, that when someone called off, you guys would work with 5 unless something catastrophic happened? That's what was sold to the public.
I never agreed to that.
Well, I'm going to find it in here. I'm going to read what it says. And I understand what's going to happen. It's going to be wordplay. But this is not what was sold to the public. It really isn't. And you guys need a new fire truck at some point, right? You're going to need a new ambulance. How do we plan on paying for this? We can't even get the overtime cut down to where we can even save some money for anything.
So, but the thing is, if I cut my staffing down, what that does will extend my response times to incidents by 15 to 20 minutes. Not all of them, but a good amount, because it takes 2 people to staff a vehicle. And anytime I reduce the staff by 1, it eliminates 1 vehicle, and it's going to be down to, it would be down to a fire truck and an ambulance.
Well, I understand that.
And then I can't even, at that point, I can't even handle a 2-vehicle accident without calling people in and then them getting paid double time for a minimum of 2 hours.
So they'd get paid for 4 hours. If they came in you had to call them in to cover some extraordinary event.
But it's everybody.
They would get paid
It
for.
goes to everybody. It doesn't.
You calling everybody in?
I don't call in 2 people. It's emergency callback. You call in everybody.
Well, why would you need to call in every single person for a 2-car accident?
You don't know who you're going to get.
That makes absolutely no sense to me, sir. You just call everybody in, whoever shows up works. Well, okay, so you called in 20 people, but you only need 2.
That's emergency callback.
So how many days in the last pay period did you not have not have 2 people working overtime? Because the one I looked at the end of the year, it was literally out of the 14 days, 12 days, we had 2 guys we were paying overtime to.
Yeah.
24 hours.
Because it's cheaper than hiring additional people.
Well, it's cheaper to cut down the overtime, sir. It's cheaper to look at a block of a window of some of your call volume and say, we can take the risk here. We can take the risk here. But you guys don't want to take the risk at all, and we already know it's impossible to cover every single contingency. You can't. But yet we're gonna continue this, what I see as abuse of the taxpayer with the overtime system. And you look, just the conversations that went on earlier with all the rate, everything else is going up, and every other department in this city has made concessions, whether it be with manpower, restructuring, whatever. But for whatever reason, for my safety, the fire department can't make any kind of concession. That is absurd.
We've cut everything we can cut.
I disagree. I disagree that you have.
When you met with us, and I told you what I could cut. It's not a lot, but that directly affects law enforcement.
So, well, and here's another issue with law enforcement. They help you guys, like if you need a lift and assist, they help you guys when they're on scene. And the reports I'm hearing is sometimes your guys are like, no, we don't want your help. You call 2 other guys over to do it. We need, just like was said earlier, we need to work as a team. But part of working as a team is what you're willing to sacrifice, And I don't think that looking at a small window, whether it's 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, when your call volume is typically low, and I understand you can't guarantee it's low, but we can look at the patterns. If we can't carve out 4, 6, 8 hours to where we will only work with 5 if people are on vacation or sick, I don't understand why you can't do that. And if something happens, you get a call that you need, fine, call that 6th guy in. Or call all 20 in, I guess. I mean, if that's how the policy is, that's absurd, but
technically, it would only be maximum of 12, but you're...
okay, whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, because if I was running a business, that's not how I would do it.
But it's any time that I have to have emergency callback, it's you're expecting somebody to drop what they're doing on their time off and immediately come into the station and help.
Okay.
Well, I have a question about that. Why don't we have a call-in list? People are off.
It's a good point.
Because we don't pay standby pay.
But
that's an additional, that's when you want something like that, you pay them for being on call.
Do you have an overtime list that you go through? Like, say you need somebody that has to work over and it goes down the union seniority list? Okay, you get the first option, you get the next option.
That's how we fill regular overtime.
Well, then why wouldn't you do that with a call-in emergency? Hey, I'm gonna call you
Who's there to
first.
do it?
What's that?
Who's there to do it?
Nobody's on station.
No, that's the reason you're making emergency callback. There is nobody left at the station to
So how would
help
you, so if nobody's there and you got this major event, how would you call them?
The officer in charge notifies dispatch, and a page is sent out.
And and that brings everybody to you. Okay. But here's the article I was talking about. I finally found it. Article 20. In an effort to provide for the safety of the firefighters and the citizens of the city of Bucyrus, there shall be a minimum of 5 bargaining unit members at all times. During fiscal emergency period, as defined under Ohio Revised Code, the auditor or the state and fiscal watch, you guys would go down to less than 5 if you had to. So you can operate with 5 there, or less than 5 there, but any other time, you can't, because we're not technically in fiscal emergency. Well, we're heading that way. The citizens of the community are in fiscal emergency, I can promise you that. And when you look at the payrolls, it's way out of balance for the community. I mean, on average, the firefighters are making $106,000, and it's because...
How much overtime do they work to get that?
And that's the point. We don't want them working that much overtime, sir. That's the point.
It costs more to hire somebody.
We don't
to
need,
fill those positions.
we're not gonna hire anybody either. I guess you're missing what I'm saying.
No,
We
I
need to cut,
understand.
we need
You're
to
trying
cut
to cut my
costs.
service.
We're trying to cut costs.
You're trying to cut my
We're
service.
trying to, it will cut service a little bit, yes. It will cut service a little
I've
bit.
had this argument for the past 4 years. Even
Yeah,
when we started.
I agree. And nothing happens. And then you guys sold this. The fire department, the union,
Do
the
you know what it
administration,
would cost?
they
for-
sold this as if somebody calls off, we will work with 5. That's what was sold. That's what was told directly to me. And then I sat in this meeting with you guys, I asked you how many 5-man shifts you guys worked last year? None. Because then what was the gentleman's agreement about then? Why would you even say you had a gentleman's agreement that you would waive that for that year?
That was for a short amount of time. And no, hold on. There was supposed to be an issue that happened at the beginning of the year, and it was going to make me the 6th person for a short amount of time, and I got injured, and we could not honor that agreement.
That's
a
totally
For
different.
me to be on the truck.
That's not what I was told.
Yeah.
That's not how it was sold to the public. And I firmly believe that that was sold just to deceive me, I guess, because I was the guy asking most of the questions about the overtime. And it's not, as a taxpayer, I really don't appreciate that. And I'm not saying you personally, but the union did that. The administration is part of that. And I have spent 90% of my time up here since I've been here trying to figure out ways to cut costs. And every single time, it is met with severe resistance. But yet we sit up here every time, almost every department, how much costs are going up, how much more the citizens are going to have to pay. And then we're expected to be a rubber stamp up here for all this. I still think that we can look at your call volume and pick out 4, 6, or 8 hours and block out some times where you're going to work with 5. Unless something happens. I don't think that's unreasonable. Any of you guys got any input on this?
I just had to say I agree with you, Robert.
In my opinion, from what I've seen, if they hired another man, the overtime would go up more. Now you gotta cover his vacation hours, his sick
Yes,
leave,
100%.
everything else. It would go up more.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of hiring a guy. I'm in favor of
It's getting
cutting costs. Cody, you got anything to say?
Well, not directly on the overtime, but I do have an opinion on it.
Go ahead, yes, sir.
I guess from the public standpoint, the public is upset that, and this is not an attack personally, that the fire department is always shopping at Kroger, taking 2 vehicles up to Kroger. Now, I get, they might get a call, whatever, they gotta respond to that call. But from the public's point, that they're always, at least up there once a day up there shopping. On the clock,
I've
on the
asked that
clock.
question, and the answer I get is usually from the union president that there's case law that supports them being allowed to do that, or you'd have to pay them per diem. However, I would imagine that case law was in a time frame when Kroger didn't offer free delivery.
But I can't go while I'm working and get me something to eat.
Exactly, and Kroger offers free delivery. I don't know why you can't just call and have it delivered.
And Kroger is what, a minute from the fire department?
Right, it's free delivery.
Let me ask the chief, is there anything you can do with the overtime? Can you make more of an effort to cut back on overtime so we can?
It's a, like I said, if I cut anything, it cuts service. I have 2 squads in a engine that I staff daily. If I cut one person, I'm cutting out an ambulance.
So there's nothing you can do about the overtime? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's cutting the service. I've trimmed everything that we can trim. We can't cut anything else out.
So let me ask you this then, sir. Why would we ever agree to any 5-man minimum? You got it in here that at some point, whatever the circumstance could be, you'll go to 5 or less than 5. So if it's okay then, it's okay now.
It was because council was stripping it away from.
So it was a way for the unions to protect themselves. Utter disregard for the taxpayers. Absolutely, that's what it is. I don't understand how we can say, well, yeah, we can work with 5 in this situation or less than 5 in this situation, but we can't do it right now.
But the last council felt, the previous councils felt the other way, that they've had that 6-man minimum in there to protect us from the administration.
Well, that's their problem, not mine. Like, this is a totally different council, and we got people here that are looking to cut costs, something that this city has never, ever wanted to do. But yet, we'll raise costs, we'll raise rates, we'll watch salaries and vacations just continue to rise in these contracts year after year after year after year. And then we just can't get anybody to whittle out a 4 or 6 or 8 hour window to save $40,000, $60,000, $80,000. And that adds up. At the end of the year, if we saved $80,000 off your payroll, that would pay off the next guy's contract that retires. What did we pay Mr. Sparks? $60,000 when he retired? Somewhere to the tune of that. If we could just whittle out, I know it's not much. It's not much money. But at the end of the year, it helps. He needs cruisers. You need an ambulance. We need fire truck. But yet, we can't just whittle down just a little bit. And again, what was sold to me was legitimately, if you went below, if somebody called off or was sick, we would drop down to 5, and we'd work with 5 unless something major happened. Well,
I don't know. I don't know who sold you that.
The union president did. He took right outside there after their meeting one day. That's exactly who it was. And the conversations I've had with you guys, the service director, the mayor, and yourself, you guys kind of, without directly saying it, you knew what I was saying. You knew what I was talking about. That's why you said, well, we had a gentleman's agreement, but there was never any intention of ever following through with it. So what's that tell the taxpayer? What's that tell me as just a man? It's almost like I was being lied to my face as a taxpayer. And that's how I feel as a person, as a taxpayer, and as an elected official. I feel like I've been deceived and been lied to about what that contract was. And All that aside, I look at your call volumes, I look at you see the patterns. There are hours in the night and in the day where you don't need 6 if somebody's called off. Now, if it's the regular shift, nobody's sick, nobody's on vacation, work with 6. That's fine. It's when 2 guys call off or 2 guys are on vacation, we're paying 2 guys 24 hours overtime every single day almost. Like literally almost every day. That's a strong word, every, but I bet it's 10 to 11 days out of every pay period that we've got 2 guys with 24 hours of overtime. That's got to stop. We have got to find a way.
It is a lot, but we're a 24/7 operation.
Well,
365 days a year.
So everybody, so is the police department. He manages to
do it with 18 guys. Does he maintain 6 people 24 hours a day?
Well, no, he works in blocks, right? He works in a block.
The police get paid a lot more than we do.
So now it's about money.
No, that's not.
That's what you're saying.
The same amount of budget, for the same budget, I maintain 6 guys 24 hours a day.
And again, I'm looking at your call logs, and I've seen the pattern. There are hours in the night and the day that we can whittle something out. Now, if I have to try to pass legislation to force this, I will. I don't know if I can, but if I have to run for mayor and hire a service director that will drop the hammer, I'll do that too. I'm done with this.
Also, I have only one point to bring up. Are you capable of physical shape now to be able to do?
No,
what
I
that
will
was
not
at
do
that
it.
time?
I'm sorry, and I refuse. I will retire if I have to be forced onto the truck.
Well, I don't think we can force you on the truck, and I do appreciate you the last time stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll do it to help fill in. I commend you for that. I do appreciate you as a taxpayer for that. And it's unfortunate that something happened, you cannot continue that, but I do understand. You know, I don't expect Chief Dorsey to be out on the street either, right? It's an administrative, he's trying to run the show. I understand that. But I do have a problem that we can't even whittle out some hours to save some money. I'm going to table this for now.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Chief. In your last report, I read, where you said you transported one individual to Tiffin Hospital, Galleon, and Marion. When that transport was going on, was there any guys called in for overtime during that time?
Not that I'm aware of, unless one of them maybe, but it was because there was a case of where we had multiple calls going on, where everybody was tied up. So occasionally we get where if we have 3 calls going on that they need help, we'll call in somebody else. The one Tiffin one was during extremely bad weather. So I can't say for 100%, but generally no, just because the squad's out of the district for that short amount of time, we don't call in for that.
Okay. Thank you for that.
I have a question for the mayor. I was in your office talking to you and Tommy about this. Why were you surprised that when I told you they were not honoring the 5-man minimum? Why did that surprise you, sir? Were you under the impression that that's the way that was supposed to work out too?
Yeah, because I was part of the union negotiations.
So you were under the impression that that's how, why aren't you enforcing it? You're the boss.
The biggest thing is that I also look at it, the fire department, as a money-making operation.
Well,
I mean, we brought in, what, $640,000?
so do you think if we cut down some overtime, somehow that's going to affect the call volume? That's where the money comes from, and they ain't like the people out here in the community have anyone else they can call. There's not no big marketing scheme. They're not selling a product. They're not bringing in any revenue. The revenue's created by the need of the community. When people get sick, people get hurt. They're not bringing in a dime. That money's just there by chance from the...
We contract with townships, though.
Which is what, about 7% of your call volume? We can eliminate that, and that's not going to affect anything. We can eliminate the EMS to townships. That's not going to affect nothing, and we're still going to have the problem with the overtime.
They're still going to call us, though.
Well, we don't have to answer if we don't have a contract with them. You know, and that's it, because nobody ever wants to worry about the city of Bucyrus. Let's worry about the whole county, all the other townships. And here we are trying to whittle down some money to help the citizens of Bucyrus, and it's an uphill fight. And you just admitted, Mr. Mayor, that you thought, you had the same impression I had, and you were part of the negotiations, and you're surprised that they're not honoring the contract that you thought they signed, and you're the guy in charge. How about you enforce it?
You're right.
I mean, that's what needs to happen.
You're right.
And I understand. I do understand.
And I appreciate your constructive criticism.
Well, and it's not to be negative, or it's just, I don't know how else to say these things.
Well, that's fine. That's
I really do not know how else to say it. But that's really what I, as a taxpayer, would like to see, and I, as an elected official, would like to see. Now, if there's a compromise in there to where it ain't the whole 24-hour shift, that's fine. But you can't tell me there ain't 8 hours in there somewhere where we don't have to pay that overtime. Now, me personally, if I was a lawyer, we'd already be in court over this because it's not been honored for the whole 24-hour shift. You should be working with 5. Technically, my opinion, but I also understand, fine. I really think that's something we better start working towards, and I mean ASAP. Please. And it will show the citizens that we are serious about trying to cut down to the bare bones. And here's my philosophy on government. You should act like you don't have any money every day, but we don't. We act like we got all kinds of money to spend here.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
This is for you, Chief. There was an accident early this morning on Route 30 at Crawford Wyandotte County Line Road involved 2 semis. Did you have to call anybody in on overtime for that?
No, we did not.
Okay, thank you for that.
Not really a question, it's a comment, I guess, more or less. Excuse me. Can I-
Yes, sir, absolutely. It's all yours.
Contract negotiations. When it comes to that, if we had a law director here, I'd like to ask him this question. If members of council can be part of negotiations for contracts.
I agree, we should
I
be.
think that'd be, because most of the time, we get handed a contract, say yes or no, here's 5 minutes, look at it, pass it, don't pass it. And I think if we had members of council on those negotiations, it would help us greatly.
Well, if we're being
understand
asked to
what's
vote
going
on them, we should be on them.
It'd be a question for law director if we can or not, but that's
Right.
one thing I want to
I agree.
look into, see if we can do that. Instead of getting us up here flying blind all the time with 5
Yeah.
or 10 minutes to look at something.
Anybody else got anything? You guys, anybody else back here? Auditor, anything to say? Public participation?
Kurt Fankhauser. The money situation with the city. The city is running on
Let's talk about the
borrowed
fire,
time.
let's talk about the fire time and the fire department overtime now.
Safety forces related. The reason the city is still able to operate at the present time with safety forces, there's been deferred maintenance and vehicle replacements going on for the last several years. There's been essentially no vehicle replacements, no, from my estimation, just knowing what vehicles cost and how big the fleets are, I would say the city is probably $1 million per year, not well as far as, if you have $1 million more for, send half of it to the police, half of it to fire for the vehicles. That's how bad I think we're sitting right now with the money with the safety forces.
Yeah, that's just speculation without the hard numbers. So, I mean, yeah, I agree. Like I think when it comes time to buy these vehicles that we are going to have, I don't know how we're going to pay for them. And it would be nice to have some money put back that we can use towards that. That's the whole point of this.
I would consider the safety force vehicles a higher priority than a pool levy.
Well, that's a totally different subject. The pool levy, we're not even going to talk about.
Greg White, 1125 Hillcrest. Thank you for what you're bringing out to the public in this meeting. I appreciate that.
That's who I am.
Because I have come up here for the last 2 years, and some people that have been on the former council know that I've been saying there's got to be some way to work things out. Okay? So some of the things that you could possibly look at, and just to give you some suggestions, why work 24-hour crews, 24-hour days? Put them down to 12-hour days, 8-hour day shifts, whatever it's going to take to lower the overtime.
Well, now you're getting into the contract
Yeah, I
negotiations,
know, that's what I'm
right?
saying. You'd
Yeah,
have to
that's-
do
That's a
the-
way down the road
Yeah, but what I'm saying
conversation.
is, that's something that you got to look at.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Okay, and I agree with what you're saying too is, and Chris Moritz and Jim Mead knows this too. I proposed a long time ago, a year ago, to put a tax levy on for vehicles. Okay? But, once again, they didn't want to listen to the way I wanted to do it. I wanted to split the police and fire, and everybody goes, oh, you can't do that. Well, yeah, you're going to have to. Because one's operating in the budget, the other one is not. Okay? So how do you not reward the people that are operating in the budget
Well,
with the other people? And the other
that's-
thing you got to look at too, and Chief Dorsey's sitting back here, the last time that I knew that we talked about vehicles for the police department was $68,000 per vehicle.
56.
Okay? So, and then what are fire trucks costing right now?
Oh, it's $1 million is what Mansfield's
It's
about to pay
over
for
that
one.
now.
Yeah, 1.4 million they're
At one
talking.
point, look
They
at
don't have the
what
money either.
Mansfield's doing right now.
And that's part of the problem I have is we know that these things are coming up on the horizon and it's coming quick.
Right,
And we don't have a plan other than let's take a bond and a loan.
right.
But meanwhile, we're going to continue with this overtime. And in the defense of Chief Dorsey, I've had conversations with him, and he's explained how he does selective scheduling. There was times when I remember a time a few years back, there was a couple hours in the morning, we didn't have but one cop on station. And sometimes we had one cop on station and one cop working dispatch. And you're talking midnight to 4 a.m. or 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., whatever. We need to be doing some constructive scheduling here to save some money. If it's $20,000 to $100,000, that's going to help us out when it comes to time to buy these new vehicles.
Correct.
Or pay a guy's contract out when he retires.
Yeah, because that buyout money, because of the older contracts, okay? What was it, a couple years ago, and Kaylee can probably answer, was over $500,000. Now, one guy's already retired, and the other guy's going to retire of the 6 that we're going to go out. But some of these guys have $60,000 to $80,000 to $90,000 buyout
Yeah.
because of the contracts, because of overtime.
Yep.
Because even in the fire department now, when they do this lateral transfer of hiring people,
They keep their seniority and all, yes.
okay, but they bring all their sick time
Yes.
with them, so they're bringing a higher rate of pay.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that is regulated by the state. I don't know. I'm wondering if that's not a state
But I
RFC
mean,
that
but
makes
then
that.
we're taking on their sick leave or their vacation time or whatever is by that
Yes,
agreement.
understand.
We're bringing that in to where we're going to have to pay that out. Okay? Instead of us saying, well, hey, if you want to bring that, you cash it out there and buy it here. So we have the money. Because basically, we're giving out free sick time and overtime, or whatever they bring with them. We're paying that out of our pocket.
Agreed. And so we're gonna.
Appreciate it.
We're gonna end it here.
Yep,
I got a
thank
question.
you.
Thank you.
I got a
Oh,
question.
go ahead, Cody.
For open projects for Chief Schwimley. What is the status of 1308 Fremont that caught fire in end of January of 25? There was papers served on it that are now, because of the weather, completely gone.
No, they're still there. I just checked on it today. 'Cause
Okay.
I was going to update it.
The notice that the law director wants me to post on it is the exact same thing that was posted on April 22nd of 2025.
Okay.
So I'm reposting it with the law director being off. I'm in the process of getting the information back to him. The taxes on the property are 5 or 6 years delinquent. I was trying to find the other person that's related, that was on the tax form, and didn't come up with anything today.
Okay.
So, working on it. Again, with what's going to happen with it, all it does is it gives the city the ability to tear it down, but then the city's got to come up with money to tear it down.
Correct. Thank you for that. That's all I have.
All righty. No other public participation?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I had one question.
go ahead.
This is actually for Greg White. If you want to come back up here for a second, I wanted to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
No, it's you know that I was working on for about 6 to 8 months on, this is something I didn't get to go anywhere in the uniform meeting today, that maybe you did find something out of town, farther out of town, that could possibly benefit for us, but I didn't know if you were ready to talk about that yet.
The only thing I can tell you right now is I made contact with a person that I know, and that I told them that the old fire station was coming up for sale, for auction. He is part of an owner of a private ambulance company, and I told him that, you know, sometime down the road, we don't have any real, except for Phoenix here in town, that it's hit and miss, no basically private ambulance service to do a lot of transports, okay? So they're looking to expand out, okay? Their services, is in 3 states, okay? And they're here in Ohio. And I just told him that it might be worth your money, and told him what the minimum bid was, $175,000 for that building. I told him it might be worth your interest in coming up and taking a look at it, and maybe bidding on it, and maybe just holding on to it as an investment, that maybe they could start some kind of private ambulance service back in the city of Bucyrus to actually do the transports where, and I've talked to people from the hospital, there are some people that sit on a gurney 3-4 hours waiting to go back to a nursing home, okay? And that's basically tying up services at the hospital, where I think it might be easier for an ambulance service to come back here in town and do some transports.
It ties up service for the fire department and their EMS service as well. You know, they're not responding to emergencies.
Right.
You know, and I understand it has to be done, but it's probably a service that is better suited for a private company.
Right, but what I said is I offered them to let them know at least the building is going
Yes.
up for auction.
Yes.
And that if they'd be interested in coming into town, that, you know, they're more than willing to come up and look at the building and bid on it. And and I told them it's it's a fire station, it's got a good roof on it, it needs
Right.
about $35,000 and some upgrades to bring it back into operation.
Yeah.
And they told me that they will consider it.
Something positive.
Yeah.
Positive
Thank
about
you.
it because the
Thank
fact
you.
that we don't have a private ambulance service in this town no more.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, with that, I will adjourn at 8:11.
Platting Committee?
Planning Committee comes to order at 8:12. You have before you the minutes from January 22nd, 2026. Do I have a motion to
So moved.
Cody?
Second.
Fair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Rezoning. 3 properties. LIC to R1, the addresses are 1428 Sandusky, 1518 Sandusky, 1428 Sandusky. Can I have a motion to have legislation?
So moved.
Cody?
Second. Yeah.
Emergency?
As an emergency?
You need emergency or
Not
regular?
a- No, it's not an emergency because it's
Okay,
going to take
regular.
4 months no matter what.
All right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Pass. Open projects? Don't have any. Citizens' participation in plating? Nothing? Meeting adjourned at 8:14.
Public lands and buildings?
I would like to call Public Lands and Buildings Committee to order at 8:17. Those in attendance are Allison LeClaire, Chris Moritz, Robert Taylor, and myself, Ray Thidoff, Chair. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from January 22nd, 2026.
So moved. Second.
We have a Taylor first and Allison LeClaire seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. I think we're going to skip over open projects tonight and go right to any public participation. Seeing none, we're going to adjourn at 8:18.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee come to order. James Mead, Chair, Terry Spiegel, Ray Thidoff, Robert Taylor. You have before you the minutes from January 22nd, 2026. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So we received 2 donation checks, one to the police department and one to the fire department. So this is just to bring these appropriations for the purpose of bringing expenses in line with revenues. So in Fund 275, the police department donations under Program 7110 Police Department and item line 25 capital outlay, I'd like to increase that line by $5,000, which was the amount of the check. And then in Fund 276, Fire Department donations under Program 7115 Fire Department, item line 25 capital outlay, increasing that by $5,000 as well.
Need a motion
Yeah. Need a motion
So moved.
Second.
As an emergency.
as an emergency.
As an emergency, so moved.
Second, as an emergency.
As an emergency.
What was the motion? Let me ask.
To approve her appropriations.
Oh, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Pass. Transfers?
I'm going to ask to table the transfers, if that's okay.
Perfect. Open projects. Public participation.
Greg White, 1125 Hillcrest Drive. The only thing I can say is the conversations were great tonight, but there's one thing. This council controls the budget. You can take out anything you want in any line item and revisit the budget and sit down and go back through it and start saving some money and putting money where it's supposed to be or reducing revenue in certain accounts. That is your legal right, and I brought that up to you guys on Tuesday night in my speech. That is the only way that you can control the spending within the city of Bucyrus is by the budget. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do it or whatever, but by the Higher Revised Code, that is the only way you guys can control what is being spent and how it's being spent. Thank you.
So if you ever want to do that, you and I can meet with Kaylee. Just, there's
Yeah.
got to be just two of us. Or we can meet with Kaylee and talk about that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Got one
Come on up. I didn't know he was coming, sorry. He's so quiet.
Kurt Fankhauser. the budget and the money and the shortfalls, I can see the writing on the wall here and where this could be going towards the end of the year. And I know the out-of-town tax credit has been extensively brought up in the past and all that. But I just wanted to give you, as the Finance Committee, warning that don't assume that at the end of this year, if you need to tap the credit a little bit or do something with it, that you'll have the ability to vote to do that. Because what I'm thinking about doing as a just citizen Kurt, I'm thinking about doing a voter-initiated referendum on the November ballot, and it would fix the tax credit where it currently is at and require, if any changes to the tax credit, it has to be passed by the voters. So, just so it takes it out of the 7 council members' hand and it puts it where the taxpayers have, it's a way to make it to where I know the tax credit now is given by council. It can be taken away by council, but this would make it so that only the voters can take it away.
Well, I will tell you this, that would probably receive a lot of support from the community. I mean, that's a valiant thing. I understand.
That's your right.
Yep.
If you see.
I just got to protect the out-of-town workers some way that I can. That's the only way I can see to give them the absolute most protection.
Totally understand the motive behind it right now. And I think, if nothing else, that this new council has not presented is that at least most of us are here to find ways to cut costs and relieve the strain on the general fund. Some of the other stuff we obviously cannot control. When the EPA, the state, and the Fed, the water rates, some of that is literally you.
But those are their own enterprise funds.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. With what you're talking about, we're talking about the general fund. We need to relieve the strain on the general fund in any way we can, and that's what I've tried to do.
I'd be willing to have a conversation with you, not out in the meeting, about some ideas that I have.
I'd be willing to listen, or you can email me.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Open projects. Meeting adjourned at 8:25.